Professor Mansour Fadil, who is actually my colleague many years ago in the Institute of Malaya. I'd like to start off by saying very good morning, welcome to this seminar by Jeffrey Chia. Let me start off by honoring our guest here, Professor Mansour Fadil, because you have seen my face too often, so I think it's best that I talk about him. You know, we started in the 80s in the University of Malaya. I think I came back first with my PhD, and then you came back from Sheffield. He has a PhD in mechanical engineering. Little can I guess that eventually he will rise to the top and become so open, you know. But from the very beginning, I could see that his bright stars were shining because he took the risk of leaving the University of Malaya. And at that point of time, I thought, hey, this is going to be fatal for him, you know. But today he proved that it was the best thing for him. He followed the late Tan Sri Abdullah Sanusi into the Open University. They applied for the license. Then they operated the Open University. And today it is a very successful Open University with 22,000 students in Malaysia and 8,000 students internationally. And he has many centers in Malaysia and outside of Malaysia. And certainly the Open University is a university that is a savior to many people who would not have the opportunity to study in a full-time way in universities either here or outside of Malaysia. Certainly the ambition and the vision of Professor Mansour Fadil is to see the Open University not only succeed in this country but also outside of Malaysia, and that is what he will be telling us today. How he sees the university moving forward. And I'm sure he will be able to do that successfully because I know this university very well. A lot of staff are there at the moment. And as I can see today, there are so many of his staff here today also. So Prof. Mansour, you have no problem to give a good presentation today. So this is Prof. Mansour Fadil from a very humble beginning today to a very successful university president. And seeing him is always inspiring, and seeing him, I have always to be very careful. I have to say positive things. I cannot say negative things because otherwise I'll be creating a very bad impression of myself, you know. Now, that is our distinguished speaker. But before he comes on board to talk about his piece, I will have to make my presentation. I think you can put on my slide now. Of course, you all know me. I see many of the regular faces here. In terms of leading universities, I have been at 2 universities. Before this, I was 12 years at the Multimedia University. And I was 5 years as Vice Chancellor of the University of Malaya. And prior to going to Multimedia University, I was 15 years as an academic at the University of Malaya. So I've been very loyal to 2 universities, one private and one public. And now I've changed loyalty. I've come to Sunway because I want to see more sun and to see the way, you know. And this is really a good place. Let me tell you why Sunway University is a very good place. It has a very lively and very open board of directors. Our meeting is 4 times a year, but they are, to me, very excellent meetings. You know, some of the university board meetings that I attend outside of Sunway University, it is like killing myself. 3 or 4 hours of torture, and very often we are expected to keep quiet. But in Sunway University, we are free, we can say anything, we can praise anybody, we can criticize anybody, and really this is a very enjoyable board. Secondly, I think Sunway University is a very open university. Do whatever you like. But at the end of the day, we have some targets to meet. You have to achieve those targets. I think that's a philosophy here. And I certainly give great credit to how this whole thing has been set up. I have no doubt that Sunway University will survive any challenges and will come out as among the top private universities in Malaysia. Bet me on that. I'm certain about it. So this is why I feel happy to be inside this room and to be a fellow of the Jeffrey Chia Institute. And of course, we have to give the highest credit to Tan Sri Jeffrey Chia because of his vision and because of his philanthropic spirit. This whole thing is something that he wants to give to society. He doesn't take anything from this. And that is really a great, a man doing CSR to society. So really, Tan Sri Jeffrey Chia has set up something really incredible and remarkable. My job here, every few months I have to come up with some interesting topics to talk to you about education and so on. And this is another topic that we have chosen. This is something on expanding higher education. Before I get into my slide, let me tell you, it seems that the government does not want to stop creating new universities. In the recent by-election, a new university was announced, right? So I think, with all due respect, every by-election there'll be a new university, I think. Which means the number of universities in Malaysia will continue to grow. Do not expect it to stop. Which means the competition will go on. The competition from newer universities will continue to grow in Malaysia. It will not stop. And not only that, the competition for the Open University will continue, because I recently heard that if I'm not mistaken, if I'm mistaken, I ask for forgiveness. The government is granting 6 new ODL licenses. 6 new ODL licenses. I don't know whether I'm right or wrong, Prof. Which means there'll be competition for you, Prof. You actually have to work harder, I'm afraid. That's the bad news I have for you today. But I suppose competition is healthy and we should look forward to this, you know. So in other words, we are in for competition, and whichever institutions that wants to succeed must be visionary, must be aggressive, must be going beyond the borders and not just hoping for the locals, you know. We have to go abroad, outside of the Malaysian boundaries if we want. One. And secondly, we have to know what is our niche market, what is our focus. I think the case where you want to be a very general university, you want to be a master of every subject is not possible anymore today. It is too expensive and you can never make it that way. So this is the future it's going to be, and I think it is exciting actually. Having said that also, I think not all universities will be successful. I've seen some universities which has changed hands, changed owners and so on, right? You know, so this goes to show that actually managing a university is not easy, it's very challenging. And you really need to employ the best to continue to be successful. You can be successful today, but in 5 years, you could be gone or you could be sold, you could be replaced. So this is the name of the game today. But anyway, I think overall, I guess this is good for our country because we see new ideas coming into the whole system. Now, I will now like to go into my topic, which is a new private institute model for quality and sustainability. I must admit, this is an idea that I came up with when I was Vice Chancellor. This is something in 2011, okay? when I was Vice Chancellor, the 6 research university, which happens to be the oldest government universities, have increasingly been told to be more self-reliant. And among those self-reliance is the aspect of financial sustainability. We have been told to be more independent of government budget many times in meetings and so on. And because of that, as a Vice Chancellor, I was bothered in the sense that, hey, what new ideas can we do here in UM to make sure that in the future, UM will not be so dependent on government budget. So I came up with a few ideas. Of course, we have what is called the University of Malaya Holding Company. They are supposed to take care of all the other business ventures, business ideas. But one idea that I'm fully responsible is for pushing this new model of a private university. Interestingly, at the beginning of this year, I discovered that my idea was not new. Actually, I could have been accused of plagiarism, of stealing the idea. But quite honestly, I must admit, I only realized at the beginning of this year that there was already another model set up 10 years earlier. And it was set up actually in China, which I will talk about that university later in the slide. So I came up with this idea that initially, if they expect to be more independent and so on, and yet our fees have been frozen for a very long time. You know that public universities are not allowed to increase fees, and this has been for a very long time. Not only the tuition fees, but also the halls of residence. Students staying in the hostel, their fees has not been increased in the last 12 years, which means the University of Malaya is subsidizing those fees. And it is so incredibly cheap, You have to ask the UM staff how much it is, but it's very cheap and it's not sustainable. So the government is always telling us a message, whatever you do, do not increase fees. You do anything else you like. So this is the background on how we have been operating in Malaya. Do anything but don't touch the fees. So what do you do in a situation like that? And yet the government say, go and do business whatever you like. So I say the only way I can increase fees if I have a private arm, a private university or a private college. So I came up with this idea that the University of Malaya must own a private entity, because in a private entity, we can charge higher fees. In a public university, we cannot do that. It so happened after we have started, we have got the license and so on, then these massive cuts came. The government announced in 2015 the massive budget cut in higher education. And the University of Malaya was slapped with a 27% cut in budget. That is huge, and the University of Malaya is not prepared. And my colleagues who are here from University of Malaya will agree, will admit that actually the University of Malaya is actually hard-strapped cash-wise because suddenly 175 million has been taken out of the operating budget all of a sudden, That is on top of the previous year's cut. So if you look back over 5 years, in real terms, the cut could be as much as 40%, actually. And of course, the UM is still surviving today, but it's not easy to suddenly for UM to suddenly cope with these massive cuts. But having gone through this, I think lessons are learned, and I hope UM has learned something from this. One thing I learned is that I've been very lucky because the government decide not to extend me after 2013, so I don't have to face this problem. But the one who succeeded me has to shoulder all the problems, so he's a very tired man now. So I'm very lucky that I get all the praises for what I did before, and it was okay. He took over, all the cuts came. So sometimes there's a good reason why certain things happen, isn't it? Manso, if one day the board decide to expel you, don't be sad. Come to me, let's start something new, because that could be a good reason, isn't it? So never be sad about anything. Just say, God, thank you. But I have to be grateful because I am actually more beyond the retirement age, by the way. So it's okay. I'm a retired man anyway. So that's why I'm a senior fellow. So I want to leave this slide by saying that this is a very worrying trend. I don't know what is going to happen next year. The oil price still is below what is economically viable for Petronas to dig oil from the ground. So Petronas has to venture to Iraq and so on. And I have a friend who's working in the Iraq oil field. They say, you work in the oil field there, you have to wear bulletproof vest, because there could be a sharpshooter somewhere who wants to take you down, So you have to go into dangerous areas of the world. But nevertheless, unless the oil prices comes back to normal, otherwise I think there will be more cuts coming. I think it's inevitable, which means the public university has even to cut some more in its operation. So this is the fact. I don't know what's going to happen next year, but I think there'll be more cuts. Personally, I think that's going to be the case. But also, if you look at this slide, Malaysia has been too dependent on the government. 80% of our operating cost comes from the government. And yet other countries are very, very much lower. Of course, we don't talk about Singapore because Singapore is a small nation, very rich country, very successful industrially and so on. But you see, Indonesia is only 30%, Thailand is 30% and so on. And actually, I admire the universities in Thailand because I've seen Chulalongkorn University, the best university in Thailand, Mahidol University. They all have business enterprises of themselves, if I still recall it correctly, Chulalongkorn University has 7 big supermarkets, and 1,400 commercial lots. And they started doing this 30 years ago, And Mahidol University has got 5 private hospitals, So they have started longer than any of the universities in Malaysia, But they own businesses, and because of that, the universities are only 30% dependent on the government. So in a way, while we hate to be cut, but I think if other countries, their universities have started early and they can survive, why can't Malaysian universities be so? Of course, this is an argument that people who think that that education should be free will not agree with this, because there are groups of people who don't agree that they feel that education should be free, like what happens in Scandinavia, in Europe, in Germany, in France. It's all free. But somebody reminded me, yes, they are free, provided you are willing to pay 60% tax. I am not prepared to pay 60% tax. I prefer to pay 15% tax and pay for my children's education. I think that's better. So you get some, but you lose some. Life is like that. So anyway, I think Malaysia is too dependent on government. It's going to be a very rough period in the next 5 to 10 years in higher education for the public university. I think the private university is no problem. Quite honestly, I think when I think from many different angles, Sunway is very well placed. Sunway can survive this even if the PTPTN loan is cut and so on. Sunway is very smart, thanks to how it has been managed, honestly. And I'm saying this not because I want to continue to be here in the next 10 years, because I don't want to be here for the next 10 years. But I'm saying I think they know which market they're attracting. And I think that market is a market that can pay for this education. You know, that's very smart. And also, they have placed this university at Bandar Sunway. A lot of young people wants to be at Bandar Sunway, isn't it? You know, so this is very smart. Whereas some private universities are just about 40 kilometers away from here and so on. It's very difficult, you know, because there's nothing there. Palm oil estate is the best you can get. In other words, you can live longer, but not but not happier for the younger children. Yeah? So this is a story, my friend. Sunway University is very well placed. It's been well designed and so on, and it caters for a market where they can afford. You know, brilliant. Of course, this is the issue, the oil price. I heard recently people are predicting it could go in 2017 or 2018, it can go to $100 again. If that happens, sigh of relief. You know, we have to thank God for that lah. But I'm not so sure whether that will be the case or not. So it's anybody's guess lah at the moment, you know. But even then, I don't think the government will restore what the sort of support they have been giving public universities before this. And anyway, there will be more public universities coming up anyway. You know, again, I want to stress the point that do not ever think that the issuing of university licenses are going to stop. No, public as well as private university licenses will continue to grow, I think. There's no way it will be reversed. And of course, our minister here, I heard he's already jobless, isn't it? I saw him driving a taxi. Sorry, ma'am? Uber. Is he jobless? Or is he still having a job? Fired already? Oh, yeah, expired already. So he doesn't have a job, is it? Oh, Uber driver. Okay. But I still don't need to be a driver yet lah. You know? Actually, I know this gentleman, my good friend. He happens to be my boss before in telecom when I was running Multimedia University. I used to report to him, but I only saw him once or twice. But little do I know that he will actually end up as a driver. But actually, it is interesting that the number of unemployed graduates, and he said it's 400,000. And 1 week ago, I was talking to economists, and they predicted that the unemployment figure is going to go up, actually, because Malaysia is undergoing some economic downturn. It's going to go up 500,000, 600,000 in the next few years. I don't know whether this is true or not. I have not seen the figures, but this is what economists have been telling me, that the number of unemployed graduates will go up. This is an important point for all, because at the end of the day, we do not want to be producing graduates where the market doesn't need. And I think this is the biggest problem with public universities. When I was in Multimedia University, I thought our calculation was correct. Our graduate employability was like 95%. When I went to University of Malaya, of course I'm not the VC, I can say this now, people disputed me. They say UM is higher. But independent survey shows that the employability for university for graduates from the private university is higher than the public university. I don't know, my colleagues from the University of Malaya, do you know what is there is a standard figure of 6 months from graduation, how many is already employed? Mr. Punyamurti, do you know what's the figure for UM, the latest figure? How many percent? Evelyn, do you know? If I'm not mistaken, it's only 80 something. You already lost out to Sunway, you know. And certainly MMU figure was better. So actually, there was a jobstreet.com punya survey which says that the employability figures for the private university is better than the public. Again, this is another point where somehow the government has been giving multiples amount of money to public university, but yet how come the employability figure is lower? Something is not right somewhere, right? Of course, I think we need 3 days to debate this, but what I want to say is that luckily we have private universities, and I think the number of private university students and public university students is about the same now, and the private university figure is fast catching up actually, But nevertheless, at the point when he said this is more than a year ago, there was 400,000, and he seems to be another person, 400,001 actually. So the unemployment figure is increasing, but actually my dear participants here, actually the truth also is this, but which has never been said, and I don't know whether you will agree or not. I don't consider this sensitive, but actually out of the 400,000, I think 70 to 80% are actually Bumiputra. The Bumiputras consist of the majority of those unemployed actually. Do you all know this or not? But nowadays they don't want to talk about that, but the truth is that the Bumiputras are the one who is actually affected by this. So actually, if the universities are sensitive, if the university really wants to do something, they should try to research, they should try to investigate why the percentage of those of the Bumiputera are very high, the unemployable graduates, It's very sad, I think, And on top of that, our Deputy Prime Minister, Datuk Sri Zahid Hamidi, has told that with all these cuts, you are not allowed to increase tuition fees at all. So actually, with all due respect, this is like committing murder, isn't it? I'll cut you, but don't increase fees. I'm going to take away, if all this while you have been getting 10 plates of rice a day, I'm going to take away your plate of rice, but don't beg for it, Go and do whatever you like, but do not increase fees. This is a very, very tough situation. And the vice chancellors, I know of so many vice chancellors. I was a vice chancellor. A lot of them have no clue on what to do. Honestly. Because if you want to make good every year 175 million cut, and you are not allowed to increase fees, that has to be a very big business enterprise, Profit from there. Right or not? This is not cut here, cut there, and so on. No. Those cuts, you can tell them, okay, after 5 o'clock, switch off electricity, try to repair pipes which is leaking, computer maintenance. If all this while you have been getting 15 million, now you are down to 5 million. You cannot do that because you are killing the system sebenarnya. If somebody says, okay, if your computer maintenance budget is 15 million, now we are going to cut down to only 5 million, you can only have 5 million, you actually have to stop running your computers. Because some of the software license will add up to a few millions already. And then if your library books, you have been getting a budget of 25 million, and then you say cut that also, that means you have to unsubscribe online journals and so on. So the whole learning environment is severely curbed. And the only thing that the public university knows to do is to cut. They have no idea at all on how to make good this 175 million. I have not heard a good idea, actually. So this is the problem. They are not prepared for this. The vice chancellors are not businessmen. The vice chancellors are only good at teaching and doing research. Teaching and doing research doesn't make money. You know, and the problem with the public university, all the professors think they can be vice chancellors. Why they think they can be vice chancellors? Because number one, they are senior enough. Number two, they are brilliant. Number three, they know Zahid Amidi, Najib Tun Razak, and so on. Actually, I like them. All the 300 over professors in UM, I mean, some don't like me, some praise me lah kan. The 300 professors in UM, I like them to go and see the current vice chancellor. The current vice chancellor already 2.5 years in job, and ask his sincere opinion. Is it worth being a vice chancellor or not? He will tell, not worth it at all. You better keep your job as a professor and be a good boy, rather than trying to be a vice chancellor, because the likelihood of becoming a cursed person after the vice chancellor job is very high. Nobody will ever think good of you anymore. Even though when you're a professor, who is the best professor? He can teach well, he can look after the hospital, but 2.5 years is all about your reputation being damaged. You know, it's not worth it. So, Punyamurti, please go back, put it in the info line for all the staff. See, this is what the former vice chancellor says. Don't damage your reputation unnecessarily. Be a professor, work hard to be a professor as soon as possible, retire as a professor. Leave the vice chancellor's job to a few who doesn't care about their reputation. Like Professor Mansour Fadil. If they want a name, his name. I will not recommend Graham Wilkinson, the Sunway University Vice Chancellor, because they will screw you up. It's not worth it, you know. The minute you set foot on in the office, you get 10 flying letters to the minister and 20 to the prime minister. And from a very respectable white man, suddenly you become... It's not worth it, Graham. Graham Wilkinson is the vice chancellor of Sun Music. He's my very good friend. That's why I can say this, you know. But this is my sincere advice to him. You know, when I was vice chancellor, let me tell you something, and I think it's still there. Can you just Google tak nak Ghauth sebagai naib chancellor? I think it is still there. If you want to know how dirty I am, read it. But of course, I deny everything lah kan, you know. So it is still there, you know. Imagine a special website dedicated to me, Puan Sri. Puan Sri, obviously you have not read it. You know? Read it, and you know how bad I was. But in a way, when I think about it, I'm happy that such a website was created for me. You know why? Because before that, I was not really known, you know. Mansour, is there a website for you already? You ain't seen nothing yet, you know. Okay, what's the initial motivation for choosing the University of Wales? Okay, I'm set to set up a private university. I think this is the way out for UM. We can charge higher fees. Which university to choose? Sometime in life, you have to count on your luck, and you have to count on your friends. So I was dreaming hard, which university in UK? I need a UK university. I don't want an Australian university. I don't want a US university. Why? Because I've studied in UK for a long time. I think I can work with the British easier than I can work with the Australian. With all due respect, Prof, you know. I don't mean to say anything bad about any other country, but I think I know the British system well and so on. And I think if we have the British name, that's great, you know. So that comes to mind. And it so happens after searching high and low, is it Cambridge University? Is it, I don't know, Nottingham Trent? Is it this? Is it that? Then I say, I need a university that has breadth. I need a university that has a very long history. I need a university when I say the name, everybody knows. knows in the sense that it has existed, you know. And I thought, hey, Wales is a nice name. If I have the name Wales there, Wales represent a big country actually. The Welshmen always say it's their country, you know. It's not like a state in like Malaysia. So Wales actually is a generic name that represents so many universities in Wales actually. Because you will see the history of University of Wales. Cardiff University was there, Aberystwyth, Bangor, and so on. So that seems like a nice name. But, you know, certainly I will not dream like London. It will be difficult. It will be very messy. So that is one. And secondly, I don't want to create a university, come up with my own name, a brand new university. It will be harder to succeed because Sunway is already ahead. Monash is already ahead. Multimedia University is ahead. And if I want to study it all over again, tough. So I need to have a jump start. I need to look for a well-known name where people will not question. And around that period of time, I met some friends. Hey, why not try Wales? So I approached the University of Wales, and somehow things click. And I met the Vice Chancellor at that time, and he said, okay, let's discuss. You see, in choosing this, with all due respect, I cannot go for Cambridge University. Because if you open your mouth and you say Cambridge, can I have Malaya-Cambridge? I think I have to pay a bomb for that, right? And I cannot take a relatively young university because nobody may know. So I need to have a university that people already knows about it, and I will require a partner where they will not demand so much for it. And I was correct. When I approached Wales, it was easy to get it going. Actually, working with Wales has been easy. The most difficult part is working with the University of Malaya board, by the way. Nobody from University of Malaya board here. And staff of UM who are here, please don't report it. Just keep quiet about it. I'm just telling you, sharing you my experience on trying to introduce this concept. Because my friend, let me tell you, so many times I've been told, no, we cannot do it. We don't want to do it. Forget about this idea. You know that? When I brought this idea to of course the management will have to listen to me because I was Vice Chancellor, I was their boss. But when I bring it to the board, it was like pouring cold water. No, cannot lah. You are already university, why you want to own another university? All sorts of talk, you know. And until about to the end of last year, some even said, sell this university lah, and we make some money. You believe that? That was the talk going on. But little do they know now, and I think they're beginning to see now, this is going to be the savior of UM. This is going to be the savior of UM. And if luck is there, this could be more important than UM one day. You know, but at the point when I will introduce it, I was really defending left, right, center against board members and some senior professor who said this is a waste of time, don't do it. But I kept on pursuing it, and luckily I managed to get it through. The minister was convinced. I actually whispered to the minister, Datuk Sri, I explained to him, I want to set up this. This will help UM and so on. He said, okay, you submit a paper. I submitted the paper. The minister was okay, but I have to go through the formalities. And that formalities is hell, actually. It was not smooth sailing. It was tough. Okay. But obviously, this is a marriage of two education systems, in Wales, in UK, and in Malaysia. University of Wales is a public university in the UK. It is not a private university, by the way. The University of Malaya is a public university. It's not a private university. So this is a university, a private university owned by two public entities. In other words, if this university is successful also, it is being owned by two public entities, and as you know, public entities means for the public good. It's not for anybody's personal interest and so on. So this is for public good. Of course, before this, if you see, most of the models are all about foreign universities building campuses in Malaysia. But this is not. This is a two public university, one public university in UK and one in Malaysia, coming together to set up a private university. I hope you appreciate that main point. You know, right? And one last point on why Wales, of course, beside the long track record and so on, they have a academic experience, research experience for a very long time too. And they have produced many good universities, actually. So that is the kind of experience that we need. Okay, this is some brief history about the University of Wales, which was became a federal university in 1893. And you see, these are universities that are already independent. They graduated from the University of Wales, actually. And then Swansea University, you all know this. And University of Wales Institute of Science and Technology, UWIS, you know. Currently, all these have become independent. Now, the current University of Wales is headed by the University of Wales Trinity St. David. Okay, and in 2011, this University of Wales, the original University of Wales, which is whose headquarters is in Cardiff, has decided to merge with Swansea Metropolitan University and the University of Wales Trinity St. David, and now they become the University of Wales. So they merge again, you know. The smaller ones merge and become one new entity. So the current entity, when we talk about the University of Wales, is actually a merger of the University of Wales, Swansea Metropolitan University, and the University of Wales Trinity St. David. That's the entity that has got married with University of Malaya. All in all, they have 7 campuses throughout, 6 campuses in Wales and 1 campus in London. I can't remember what's the student number. It was very big, actually, you know, one day. What I remembered, over 30 to 40,000 students, if I'm not mistaken, you know. So it is a, I don't know how you pronounce it, Prefis Gol Camry, you know. Any Welshman here? Strange, isn't it? Prefis Gol Camry becomes University of Wales, you know. I never understand the Welsh language, you know, forgive me. But this is the entity that got married with the University of Malaya, and we marry them into the name of International University of Malaya Wales. A new model, 2 public universities across 2 countries being set up, owning a private university in Malaysia. It is an experiment, but it is an experiment which I personally fully convinced it will be very successful, and I explain to you the reason why. No doubt about it. Only now, some members of the University of Malaya board is beginning to realize why this is really a good thing. Before this, a lot of people were skeptical. They don't believe it will work. They don't believe this is worth it. But soon they realize this is important. Okay, we have actually conducted a survey, and in terms of students' preferences, it seems that when it comes to choosing university, the number 1 factor is the fees. We found that 32% of students said that fees is very important in deciding which private university they go to. Second, the international brand. And when we ask them, what do you think of the University of Wales? Oh, fantastic, they say. Well, because they don't know Wales, isn't it? You know, that's why they say it's fantastic. Anyway, as long as it's a British name, it is okay. You know, isn't it? When I was small, when I don't know about the UK, I also said the same thing, kan? You know. But when I'm already old like this, you know, when I'm already 60 years, I say, yeah, okay, not bad. You know. So depending on your age, I guess. You know. And then the third is academic quality, and the rest all are much less than this. So fees is extremely important. I mean, based on our survey that we did, international brand and the academic quality. In terms of academic quality, we have no issue. You know why? Because all our programs in this university is being checked, being monitored by MQA, the Malaysian Qualification Agency, and QA of the UK. Two. And not only that, all our graduates receive 2 scroll. The IUMW scroll and the University of Wales scroll. Not the University of Malaya scroll. It's too expensive, the University of Malaya scroll. 2 scroll only, IUMW and the University of Wales scroll. Actually, that is a very good reason why we cannot give the University of Malaya scroll. You have to think why. You guess this correctly, I'll take you for lunch after fasting month. You know? They can only get Wales scroll and the IUMW scroll graduating there. So, ladies and gentlemen, personally, I believe we have to keep our fees. You see, there is a spectrum, right, in Malaysia. You see the fees, you know, of private university from very high to the lower end, right, Anand? And the student here is saying one of the attractive feature of this new university is the lower fees. You know, we cannot make it too expensive lah. That's the main thing. But even at this low fees, the profitability is very high. Simply because UM campus, that 900 acres there, and with so many other subsidiary campus, there's a lot of space, there's a lot of facilities to be used anyway. It is not being fully utilized anyway. So currently we are residing in one of the campus, which is the city campus, which is, I don't know, what, 5 acres, 6 acres, sharing with him. But there is still a huge campus to be exploited, which will be encroaching soon. We have to go from the smaller one, then only go to the bigger one. So, which means the International University of Malaya Wales, which is majority owned by University of Malaya, the students can use all our facilities soon. We don't want to do that from the very beginning. We don't want to announce that because that can be very sensitive. But soon we'll bring them into campus and then they can start using library fees, sporting facilities. Fantastic. You know? And we will then be sharing all the admin software, you know, finance system lah, student registration system lah, and so on. So the admin cost is almost very, very little. And we don't have to build buildings. If we need any building, we'll let UM build the building first. If they cannot fill in, we come in, you know. We just fully utilize the buildings there is. So actually, the IUMW is a university that can make huge profit with small number of students. And you know there are some private universities in Malaysia with a huge number of students, the profit is small. Right, Anand? Of course, I don't want to mention name because I'm being recorded here. You know? I don't want to be sued by the presidents of those universities out there. In fact, the biggest problem of a lot of private universities in Malaysia, the capital cost is too high, which means they have borrowed a lot of money from the banks and they have to service the debts. But IUMW, apart from advanced by University of Malaya, they have no borrowings at all. So you see the formula why it can generate good revenue, good profit. This is a simple formula. But you see, my colleagues from UM, if you don't have an entity like IUMW, you don't have this room to charge fees. You have to keep on subsidizing your own student, which you can only charge at a very low fees. But with this, you can charge at higher fees, but we believe we want to keep the fees low. And actually, those universities that have, those established private universities that have kept their fees low is doing quite well financially, you know. And I believe Prof. Mansour Fadil, who is running the Open University, has the same policy. He wants to keep it low, you know. Unfortunately, all my children are graduated, lah, Prof, you know. But tidak, I will send them to Open University. So this is the principle that the IUMW is a very cost-effective university to run, you know. The only thing now is to build up the student number, that's it, you know. So this is a very important graph, and I really want to point out the 3 important factors to take care. Okay, now serious problems with the public university currently, and I've already mentioned some of this. And this is not only UM, by the way, it's all the other public university who has been cut. First of all, they are not prepared for this bad news, which was announced for 2016. And then the top management and the board, they don't have ideas how to solve it. Look, you will find some that say, oh, we will not commercialize our intellectual property. The professors, we will not try to sell the IPs of the products they have produced. Sorry, this is just talk. Very, very little money has come out of all this, actually, you know. Very little money. This is all just hype. The truth is they cannot generate substantial amount of money. Even NUS, I know the president, my good personal friend, Professor Tan Toh Chuan, even says that out of 400 million Singapore dollars research budget every year that they get, what the income they can get from all this research commercialization is a very minute percentage, actually. And if you take 1,000 universities in the world, the number of universities who actually can do that are those universities who go and set up their own hotel, their own hospital, their own shop lots, not from their research. Except for a few like Stanford, Harvard, yes. The rest all cannot do it. You know, because the whole innovation ecosystem too doesn't support it. And I think Malaysian product has to work about 10 times harder in order to get it to the market more than if you are in the US, actually. You know? So this is the truth. I don't know whether anybody here wants to dispute what I say. And yet, the universities are so fast to say, oh yeah, okay, we will now start commercializing. Actually, the success rate in this aspect is very low. That's the truth. What else do they say? Oh, we will cut. Cutting is very easy, isn't it? You know, everybody can do that. But then you know what will happen. When you start cutting, things will give way here and there. Other than that, some will say, okay, we will now charge the use of our sports facilities, our swimming pool. How much can you charge? Betul tak? In the first place, the swimming pool pun people don't want to go, you know. Betul tak? They prefer to go to the one in Putrajaya lah, the one in Shah Alam. And they want to talk about start charging. Then nobody will go, isn't it? So these are small pittance. It doesn't work. And nobody has a solution. You know, maybe Prof. Graham, you like to give solutions to this problem. What can the public university do? They don't have a solution. But those who actually has set up some business before, like they bought a building interestingly, this makes money. The University of Malaya Union actually bought a building before, you know, long time ago. When they wanted to buy that building, it was very painful for them. But today it's giving massive returns and the value of the property has gone up so much. So if you do that, yes, you can. Other than that, there's nothing. And not only that, the board members in the University of Malaya are all very scared people to do business. They are not like Jeffrey Chia, Very scared. All are talking about capital preservation. Whatever money you have, keep it. Don't risk it. has 1,000 acres of palm oil. Unfortunately, commodities sudah jatuh. Also very poor income. So the university is being led by management which doesn't have business idea, which is scared. Maybe the best that a VC has done is buy 2 or 3 houses, that's all. That's the best investment they have done, And maybe invest in ASN or ASB. Other than that, nothing. And not only that, the board of directors all wants to play safe. So, what is the solution? There's no solution, my friend. Really, there is no solution. Until you get somebody who comes in, hey, let's do it. Let's try our luck. Let's develop this piece of land. Let's buy, let's set up some commercial center there, and generate the money. If you do that, yes, I think. If not, there's no other way. But for the board to take some action, it will be a very gigantic step because they are not used to this. Most of the board members are former civil servants. They're happy to keep their reputation and Datuk ke Tan Sri, that's it. They want to be remembered for that, that's it. And don't expect them to go beyond that. So it's a big problem, isn't it? And now we are seeing a lot of excellent staff going away from the public. You see why? Because if they are international staff, they are employed on contract. When their contract expires, they have to go because the university have no more money to pay. And so actually, program is an opportunity for you. A lot of excellent staff who can publish tons of paper are going away. So your chance to actually net some of them. And not only that, postgraduate pun going away because there's no money to support. This is the truth of what is currently today happening in the public university. If the private university is smart, this is where you can really get very good staff, from the public university. And I don't know how long this trend will go, and if it continues like this, disaster, Okay. Problems in public universities and why the existence of IUMW will overcome them. Of course, actually one thing I cannot do is to put up a slide which shows how we project the income of IUMW. I cannot. I am not allowed. The president told me that slide you cannot show. But I tell you that in a few years' time, the income from IUMW will be a significant income for UM itself. This is the truth. But I cannot put it up here. Of course, poor university management and board response. I'm writing this to explain to you one thing. Soon, there will be an entity within the campus called IUMW within a public university. People will be comparing. Initially, there will be a lot of upset, people angry and so on. But who cares? If you're not prepared to do it, you're not prepared to try it out, there'll be no change, right? And when things get to a situation where there is money in short, people cannot really complain so much, Like in a private university, I've seen private university, some staff not paid 6 months, umpamanya. Well, we can't pay you. If you are not happy, you go. I've seen that. So, under this depressing situation, the private university will exist there in an environment of a huge public university campus, about 27,000 students, and then the private entity there. And that private entity soon will be growing in number, and dia punya revenue will be increasing like that. And the management IUMW can easily justify, hey, look, we are now going to support you, you know. You're already seeing a fall in revenue, we are going to increase. So if we are coming in to save you, don't complain so much. Betul tak? So it's very easy, you know. So soon I'll be, as a board member also of International Institute of Malay Wales, I can tell a lot of professors, hey, I think you better realize your salary is going to be partly paid by UMW. When you tell them, everybody keep quiet. That's why in private university, people don't complain so much. Right, Nanat, Mr. Lee? True, I tell you the truth. In a private university, the professors, the staff, they don't complain so much. Because I say, look, we have to run university, we have to make it work, we have to make it profitable. If we have to listen to you and everything else is sacrificed, it's all gone. We can't do that. That's the truth, right, Anand, Mr. Lee? So we cannot just because of you, everything else is gone. Tak boleh. So the same principle is going to apply here, where IUMW will capitalize on the sad state of UM, you know, and grow from there in terms of getting facilities, access to library, and so on, and not only to UM library, but also to the Wales library. We tell the Wales, hey, look, you want this university to grow, you better make sure our student can access to your library. Okay. It's a nice position when you can threaten people and they have to agree, you know. Right or not? It is a sad situation when everybody threatens you and you cannot say anything. Right or not? So I want you to see this scenario whereby, you know, few years ago in 2011, I have a hard time. I was being criticized at the board. What kind of idea is this? And today I can start threatening them. Nice thing to do. And this is the thing. Look, in the public university, this political pressure thing, I was pressured like hell. People can write to the Minister of Higher Education lah, to Muhyiddin Yassin at that time lah, and then to the Prime Minister lah. I can never do anything right, you know. Right? Pressure groups. But if we tell them, look, soon we are going to subsidize your salary, I think they have to keep quiet. And then say, to hell with the private university. Yeah, to hell. How are we going to make up 200 million revenue loss? So this is one way of taming the public university professors. Right, Anat Punyamurti? Sorry? Because among the most difficult set of people to handle is the public university professors. You all know that, Anat? Of course, I can say this because I'm a retired professor. You know? They will listen to nobody. But I realize in life, we always have to listen to our paymaster. Is that correct? Whoever is the paymaster, listen to them. In UM used to be the government. So we have to do whatever the government tells you to do. But soon if IUMW is paying it, so board member pun happy lah kan, you know. We can tell you what to do. We can implement change of policy. And that's what I'm looking for. So we are changing a very rigid 111 years old system into a new system where they have to compromise and they have to learn one thing, hey, look, the one who feeds you, you better listen to them, you know. Because progressively, if the government keeps on cutting, it is this unit that brings money into the system that you have to listen to, right? That's what life is all about. I mean, I'm not saying that money is everything, but without money, we are nothing. Is that correct? I mean, I learned some of this wisdom after I retired as VC. You know. When I was VC, I'm not allowed to say some of these wise things. You know. The appointment of UC board and management, all in the hands of minister. I think this is a bad idea. This is wrong. How can the Minister of Higher Education appoints everybody at the top? You know, one man decides everything. It is interesting that in these tough times, when candidates for a vice chancellor is being called for interview, sometimes they don't even ask the most important question. And you know what is the most important question? The most important question now you should ask the candidate is this. Look, this university's budget has been cut 200 million. If you are appointed vice chancellor, how are you going to make sure we can get back 200 million? What can you do? Everybody should be asked that question first, right or not? It is not like, oh, how many ISI papers can you publish? All that is number 2. When I was VC, I make that number 1, by the way. I've cheated the system, and I was not caught. But times have changed, right? Times have changed. The government is telling us, go and find money. And now, the government said, go, because we are going to cut. So now the vice chancellor has to answer that question first, right? You ask that question, I think all interviews will be very short. Right or not? But you can't believe this committee to select vice chancellors they have formed by the minister, all the silly questions they will ask. But they will not ask this question. Can you believe that? What kind of panel is this, you know? You know, they ask, what is your experience ini, but the most important question they forgot to ask. I think this is the most important question to ask. If you are made vice chancellor, how are you going to bring back the 200 million ringgit cut that has been instituted by the government? How? Tell us. I'm sure 5 candidates who has been called for interview will fail all that question. Give them 1 week to think again and come back for another interview. Only to be fair, right? Ask them to come back for a second interview and let's listen. Betul tak? You agree that should be the way? I'm saying this openly, Mr. Lee, because I want them to hear what I'm saying. Because I think the interview panel is doing a useless job. Really. They are asking irrelevant questions. Betul tak, Mansur? I know Prof. Mansur is only smiling. You know why? Because he's still on the job. His job partly depends on all the public university vice chancellors, 11, I think. So he cannot say yes to me, you know, but I can lah. Because the Open University Malaysia, the shareholders are the public university, 11 of them, I think. So he cannot say very much, you know, but I can, no. So this is the problem with the public. Another one is the academic and curriculum development. This is a big issue in public university where actually you have to revise curriculum to meet the growing changes in the discipline. But the public universities is so slow. Prof. Harold Twaits will know this. I brought him into UM and asked him to evaluate some courses. Some of the most ridiculous excuses given, right, Prof? My God. But I think if I made vice chancellor again, which I don't want, by the way, if I made a vice chancellor again, those professors who gave those most ridiculous excuses are going to die. You know? We'll make coffins for them first, you know. Because the courses that have been running for more than 20 years, it is still the same course. Can you imagine? The next seminar will be your seminar, Prof, to tell us. Okay, so these are the problems in the public university, right? And really to change some of these really needs numerous skills in human management, politics, and so on. And very often, the sad thing also, the politician, the political masters don't want to be on your side sometimes. Because they may think it's too risky. You may have a very brave Vice Chancellor who wants to institute changes, but sometimes the minister knows what to say such that he's not seen to be with the Vice Chancellor. Why? Because 2,000 academic staff will be against him. He doesn't want to be seen in that light sometimes. You know. So these are some of the issues. But what I'm saying is, with IUMW there, with changes that IUMW can institute, we say, look, your paymaster is changing, you better do something. So we need an external entity like that to change the public university system. Because the situation demands that change, you know. Of course, these are summary of the benefits, I would say. Number one, optimize the use of public university facilities. Marrying two public institutions across the continent, I think this is good. Elevating the current challenges of public institutions. Okay, free flow of staff and students, because eventually in our plan, there must be free flow of staff between University of Wales and University of Malaya. You know, we don't want to do this immediately because we are still setting up and doing the student number. But eventually, our professor can go there 1 year, 2 years. Their professor can come easily. So also are the students. You see, actually, there are a number of British universities or even Australian universities already set up in Malaysia. But how many British students or Australian students are actually studying in Malaysia? It's still not happening. And yet thousands and thousands of nations are going abroad to study, right? But very few of them want to come here. So we are hoping that with this, there will be the easy flow. Then only Malaysia can claim, hey, we have a very good education system, because even the British wants to come and study here. Even though they know studying in Malaysia, the cost of studying in Malaysia for the same degree certificate is going to be 20% of the cost of studying in the UK. Actually, much, much less. Because the fees in the UK, I was told soon it will be a range between 11 to 13 or 14,000 pounds per year. Before this was between 7 to 9,000 pounds. And yet in IUMW, for a bachelor program in business, the whole program is only 30,000 ringgit. The whole program. So in the UK, you do a BBA is, before this was 9 times 3, 27,000 pounds times 6, compare that to only 30,000 ringgit. So by right, the British students should all be registering in Malaysia, right? But it's not happening. Why? So IUMW will set pace, but not immediately. We have a certain time frame to do this, to tell them, hey, look, if you want this marriage to be a happy marriage, if you want it to produce children, you better reciprocate. Betul tak? You know, if not, the marriage will not be very happy, kan? You know. So this is just to say that this model will bring a lot of benefits, but more importantly, it will try to revamp some of the old habits and practices of an old university like University of Malaya, which is very slow to change. Yeah? Okay, I mentioned this also. We will be putting targets on how many University of Wales students should come to IUMW and study. And over time, it will be growing. When they come to IUMW, they pay IUMW fees. Okay? And all the facilities will be enjoyed by both campuses. All academic programs will be mirrored in IUMW. And we intend to expand to all our colleges and so on, which are doing partnership with us. You know? And we will, for the future, be looking at Internet of Things, distance learning, mobile learning, and so on more expensively. Again, this university has been in existence for about only 3 years, But soon we have to be looking at all this, But don't worry, the number of students in Malaysia is huge. We do not see the number of students coming to IUMW more than 10,000. We don't see beyond that because I think it's not possible. In the first place, we are not going to build buildings for it, But so we are thinking of a modest 10,000, and that's already very good. Very good business case for for Wales also. So only 10,000, don't fear. A lot more will still go to Open University, to Sunway University, to MMU and so on. 10,000. Puan Sri, don't worry, Sikit saja. Okay, strategies in IUMW growth. We will offer TVET and so on. Build up student number, attract UK students. Okay. We will do innovative teaching, distributed learning, and build up profitability. Actually, we have just broke even actually now. We are getting there. And after this is just bigger and bigger profit. I have not put research here. You see, none. In the strategy, earlier slide also I didn't put research because I feel that in the next 10, 20 years, it will not be the focus. Because to do this ODL and so on will be very taxing on the academic staff and so on. To build a set of program where we are at par to Wales and so on will take time. So we do not suddenly want to impose research and the staff will be complaining, how can I do all this if we have to do research? But we will pick good staff to be part of the system to produce those things. But research will come in over time. When we see certain milestones achieved, then we can start talking about research. But not immediately. Okay, that is the strategy. That's why I have not put the word research anywhere, because we are too early to talk about that. Anyway, some of the staff who are in IUMW have carried over students from their former institution. Even the president has got PhD students from University of Malaya and so on. So they know about research already. So don't worry. Research will be an agenda, but not immediately. It will be at the earliest 5 years, perhaps 10 years, 15 years. But again, this IUMW will be that savior to Remember, that is ultimately my vision. It has to be that most important entity, and I want people in one day to realize, thank God we set up that university. Okay. Again, of course, the thinking is beginning to change in the University of Malaya. Now I have not heard anybody saying, hey, we better just sell the university. I have not heard that anymore. It's slowing down already. They have stopped saying that. But actually, if wants to sell the license, I have many people who say they are ready to buy actually, because somehow they like the name. Because what is agreed by both parties is that even if we sell off this entity, the names can remain the same. We don't have to change the name. This is agreed by Wales and agreed by University of Malaya. So if you like the name Malaya and Wales, tapi the board will not sell it anymore. I know that already. Because this is nothing but what the board members like to say lah dulu. But now things have changed and they know that this has to be, it's a good station when at one time they pressure you and tell you that it won't work, and it comes to a point of time when suddenly they realize they have to keep quiet because they have to make it work. So now they have to make it work. It's not me anymore, The university community has to make it work. It's a nice feeling, isn't it? It has come to a point where they will make it work. I mentioned to you there is a similar university Xi'an Jiaotong, Liverpool University. Exactly the same model, but somehow when I set up that International Institute of Malay, well, I didn't see this, I never saw this. I only saw this at the beginning of this year when I have to give a talk on International Institute of Malay Wales. I saw this Xi'an Jiaotong Liverpool University in Suzhou, Shanghai, China. But it is a little different because from the description that I read, the Chinese government has, I don't know whether that figure is right or not, has pumped in 60 billion. It's a lot of money, and I don't think that is right. 60 billion, they build brand new campuses, very nice, and so on. And currently, 40% of your graduates go on to do master's PhD. So this is really a high-powered research university created between two public universities in China, which is Xi'an Jiaotong, quite a famous university in Xi'an, where this is the terracotta city, right? And Liverpool University, which is one of the established British university, and similar model. But they started long time ago, one, and secondly, government of China pumping huge amount of money. In the case of International Institute of Malay Wales, the government doesn't give a single cent. The Malaysian government does not give a single cent. All the money is from University of Malaya and Wales. There's a difference there. And of course, this I took it from their website. Very nice. And I understand this university is trying to be a very progressive university lah. So I copied some of them for my talk. Roughly, I changed a lot of the words, so I cannot be accused of plagiarism. But I think roughly this is roughly the same university, only that because the government doesn't give us any money, we will try to be something like Xi'an Jiaotong Liverpool University, but takes a longer time a bit lah, kan, itu saja, alright. But roughly our aspirations are about the same. And of course, these are some of the things that we need to do. But International Institute of Malay Wales has a very long journey to go, no doubt about it. And only that, I think the objective, the vision of making it as the savior of I think that will happen faster than we thought because of what is happening in the country now, because of the budget cuts and so on. But to be very established, high rank in world rankings that will take a lot more time. But in terms of being useful, a useful source of income, a pride and so on, that will come faster than we thought. I'm quite sure of that. I see. So International Institute of Malay Wales has certain roles to do at this point of time. And that we hope to further enhance it as we go into the future. And by the way, the International Institute of Malay Wales was set up by and this is the only entity in Malaysia which is owned by a public university. No other public university owns a private university. Some owns a private college, yes, but only Institute of Malay has got this. And I'm hoping to do, I'm doing this hoping that this will be really a savior and something that will find it useful, not only for income purpose, but also to change its culture, its thinking and so on, because times have changed, the government has got different thinking about funding and so on, so this is the right time to come in. Thank you very much, and I hope I've given you some ideas about what the purpose was. Of course, when I came up with this idea in 2010, 2011, when I was VC, I never thought that these cuts all will come. But somehow, looking back now, thank God we have it. The only thing I'm not allowed is to put some of the details about its income and so on and projection, because the board will not be happy for me to put it up. But as I say again, this is definitely one of the biggest income source for UM very soon in the next few years. You know, and the cost of setting it up is so small actually. Why? Because we use existing facilities. We use professors from UM and so on. And of course, they pay me very little for it also, you know. Which I don't mind. I'm happy to help to contribute again. All right. So this is the story of one good model. Why I say it's good? Because we have two public entities owning a private entity, and it's happening in our own country. And I'm hoping to see that IUMW to be that university that one day will be bringing in British students to Malaysia under the exchange agreement, you know, because currently it's only one way, thousands of Malaysians going abroad, but very few British, Australian, American coming to this country. So I will not suggest anything to the public universities. It's up to them what they will think. But I think this is just like capitalizing on whatever resources we have for the better use of those that the government have given us. Because the amount of funding that the government has given is huge. I mean, it is public knowledge that University of Malaya, including the hospital, is receiving 1.2 billion before the cut every year. UITM was receiving 2.2 billion every year. And yet, I remember when I was running multimedia universities, slightly more than 100 million only. And multimedia university reached a student population of 22,000. And UM was 27,000. So from there, you can judge the cost per student, right? So these are some of the issues which we who are in the industry should realize and should make the general public realize, and how we should go forward so that we don't waste resources, and how we can save the situation and help contribute towards the nation, during difficult times. So thank you again, and I don't know whether there's questions for me now, or we should just allow Prof. Mansoor to come forward. Okay, if anybody likes to ask me any question, please. Yes, sir.
Tan Sri, I just want to seek your clarification.
Sure.
Two areas. One is you said your model is actually not new.
Because of the China.
That's right.
Yeah.
Although you discovered a little bit later.
Yes, correct.
But what is stopping other 10 public universities from following your model? Why are they not doing it?
Okay.
If you can do, why can't the others? That's the first one.
They are not so brave like me.
No, I'm sure there are some brave guys there. Second area I'd like to check is, you mentioned that one of the reasons why public universities are not, the graduates are not employable is because of the lack of soft skills.
Yes.
Now this is something that has been mentioned for the last 6 to 8 years. And why are public universities not doing anything about it?
Okay.
I remember a friend of mine sent some proposal to the University of Malaya many years ago how to tackle this, but as usual, no reply. So why can't the universities do something? This is a national problem now, and we are talking about it for the last 6 to 8 years. Thank you.
Okay. I will answer these two questions now. First of all, what is stopping the other public universities from doing this? I don't know, but I will say this. I pushed this idea, even though I met a lot of resistance, even from the board members, and with all due respect, even from my chairman. He doesn't agree initially, and he kept telling me, Ghauth, we said, forget it, and so on, but I kept on pushing it. Because one thing I've learned in life, if you don't see an obvious wrong in doing it, just do it. Because sometimes, things that is not obvious but which is good will surface later. And I think it has surfaced now. A lot, you see, sir, I think with all due respect to my colleagues, vice chancellors and so on, a lot of vice chancellors are not brave. They are not brave. That is what it is at the end of the day. They don't have the stamina, they don't have the courage to push ideas, to come up with new ideas. You know, because the resistance is incredible. When I talk about resistance, let me then jump into your second point about the soft skills, about communication and so on. When I was Vice Chancellor, the ministry, because of the dialogue between captains of industry and university vice chancellors, they pointed out the soft skills issue, poor communication skills, poor English skills, and so on. One of the things I did was I pushed for more English classes in the University of Malaya. And when I did that, sir, in University of Malaya, for about 1 year, students was demonstrating against me. Students in the University of Malaya from certain faculties actually demonstrated against me. I remember going to one faculty where actually it was a demonstration. And of course, some of this demonstration are actually being encouraged by some professors also. I knew. For 1 year, I have to be preparing answers for newspaper reports. You have students, anonymous people writing newspaper, accusing of many things. Among those that they pointed out is that the VC of UM is making Bahasa Melayu a second language. It's not giving priority anymore. The Vice Chancellor in Malaya is against Bahasa Melayu. This sort of things. And it goes in the newspaper from week to week to week, and I have to answer that. So it's not easy when you, especially when it involves skills and language and so on. You have to be prepared for war. When you want to introduce something new, you have to be prepared for this. Not only language. I remember when I first joined the University of Malaya, I want to push for better productivity in research. So I introduced the requirement that papers must be published in ISI index journals. People from UM knows this, right? That's why they don't like me. But I think some likes me now for that policy. When I introduced this, I even get a group of professors who signed a petition to the Minister of Higher Education to remove me. They say the argument is because the ISI index journals are all in English, and therefore all the journals in Bahasa Malaysia is going to lose its significance. So I'm not fighting for the language. Umpamanya lah. You know, they write to the minister saying that the Vice Chancellor must be removed because it's not good for perjuangan memertabatkan bahasa Malaysia sebagai bahasa utama di Malaysia. You know, how many Vice Chancellors are prepared for this? How many? And whoever become Vice Chancellor, if you try to push for certain agenda, you have to be prepared for this. But honestly, looking back, I enjoyed this. And I'm glad I did it. So I pushed the ISI agenda. Another one which makes me very unpopular, when I entered the University of Malaya, I cut the salaries of those staff who has gone to do PhD but never got it. I start cutting. Okay, from this deadline, you better get your PhD because we have paid your studies in the UK, Australia, Canada, whatever. We'll cut from this year, every month 200 ringgit. After this year, if you still don't get it, you'll be 400 ringgit. After that year, belum dapat lagi, 600. On and on and on. The union went up in arms with me. They all are very angry. They say, where in the scheme of service that says that you must have a PhD? They are right. Because actually you look at the scheme of service, you just need a master's degree, it's enough. But I said, look, you all have been sent using public money. There are about 400 of them who has come back and you have not got your PhD. If you don't want me to impose this, you pay back every single cent that has been spent on you. Then I will let you go. If not, you get it, You show me your PhD certificate, then I'll reimburse everything that we have cut. Surprisingly, nobody took me to the court, even though so many threatened to go to the court. So at the point I left the University of Malaya, that policy is still on. 85% of the staff has got PhD. And I heard now it's 90 over. So, sir, you really need people who are willing to be murdered, to become vice chancellors. We need that kind of quality. To solve this financial problem here, we need vice chancellors who has that kind of courage. If you simply just bring any professor, he looks like a nice guy, disaster, no solution. No solution. So I hope you understand why the vice chancellor don't dare to do this and so on. This is the explanation actually. Next question, anybody? Yes, sir, at the back.
The two questions are, the University Malaya Wales initiative is a private university. And I think for those who are in a private university understand ACTA 555. And one of the things that came out of that is that we don't understand how was the public university, this private university, able to use the facilities of another university, because one of the criteria of a private university is that you must own your own resources or it must be exclusive. The second question I have for you is regarding revenue generation. The initiative that you shared was one of the ways to generate revenue. Would you then comment about the Health Metropolis project? Was that also meant to help save UM? And any comments of where it is going now? Thank you.
Okay. I will comment and I give answers which actually can be revealed to the public. First of all, under Act 55, why is it that public universities, why this private university can use the public university facilities? Simple. If I'm asked by the Deputy Prime Minister, they can say, look, you tell us find the money now. You have cut this 175 million. There are a lot of unused resources in the university. Why can't we use it? One. Secondly, if you want us to pay for the facilities, no problem, charge us. Charge us rental or whatever you want. We will pay for it. If you think that we shouldn't be given special rate, fine. But remember, whatever income, whatever money we make is going to go back to the universities anyway. So sometimes they say, money from the right pocket goes to the left pocket, right? What's the problem? So it is how you tell the story anyway. Itu saja, And the Health Metropolis. It is one of the project that has been thought of to be done. But somehow the residents across the street, the UM Gate, some of them are very good lawyers. We don't know how to argue with them. The problem, I'm not a qualified lawyer to argue with them. We were going to change the plan, but I didn't have enough time. My term was up. Because they argued, the residents association argued, that land where the hospital was to be built, if it was built, there will be massive traffic jam. Okay? And moreover, the land is designated as residential. Actually, there's a very simple solution. They even told us, if you had built it on the other side of the road, we won't complain. And we were going to do that, but that idea to build it across the road came a bit too late. That's why I need to become the Vice Chancellor again. No, I don't want to be the Vice Chancellor. I've told this idea, but again, at the end of the day, we need the Vice Chancellor, whoever it is, and with all due respect, to push and fight and shout to get it done, like what I did for other things. So, the residents themselves have given a solution. But whether it will become reality or not is how it's going to be pushed. Because at the end of the day, I realized one thing. In a public university, the Vice Chancellor plays the most important critical role. He has to push the agenda. Because nobody else will do anything about it. So you have to be willing to put your neck on the chopping block. If it doesn't work, if you are going to be killed, you go. But not many vice chancellors, I think, wants to do that, right? A lot of them wants to retire peacefully. They don't want to have a website built permanently for them. So that explains to you. Yeah, there are 3 hands. Yes, sir.
Happy morning, Tan Sri. Thank you very much
Morning.
for giving me the opportunity to ask. I just want to clarify one thing, your IUMW, in terms of teaching methodology, how does it differentiate between Asian University and our Professor Mansoor University, Open University? Then the other thing is, what are the courses that in IUMW that, based on your design, that is actually able to bring in good revenue for the university, because your main purpose is basically to earn money from IUMW to subsidize MU. Thank you, Ansri.
First of all, the difference between Open University and E-ASEAN University and also the... Actually, the best person to answer is we wait for 5 minutes. He's the best person to answer this, if you don't mind. Now, about making money, like the sole purpose of IUMB, not really. I showed you Xi'an Jiaotong Liverpool University. It has become, after 10 years, it has become one of the research university in China. Actually, we want to do that, but we can't do that. Why? Number one, because IUMW does not get a single cent from the government, whereas they get 60 billion, if I read it correctly in the website. Is that right, Anik? Yeah. So much money they get. Of course, overnight they can become a research university. But when I first set up IUMW, everybody was saying, no, it won't work lah, it will fail lah, you are just going to suck UM's money lah. That's what everybody tells me. So, to dispel all these doubts, what do I have to do? I have to show that IUMW is the entity that will bring money to UM. And not only that, it will be the entity that will be very cheap to run compared to all the faculties in UM. And not only that, one day, UM will say, thank God we set up IUMW. That's why it sounds like money at the moment. But I did say earlier on that in 10 years' time, we talk about research. But at the moment, what is most important, or the thing that is preoccupying the mind of the board members and some of the senior professors who are dead against IUMW is wasting UM's money. And we want to prove that that is not the case. That actually it is a savior of UM. And as I told you earlier, now after 3 years, people are beginning to quieten on that point. So it is only for that reason. That's why I'm saying this. But eventually, the long-term vision is something like Xi'an Jiaotong also. And not only that, again, whatever money that IUMW makes, it is for public entities, not for anybody's pocket. Because University of Malaya is a public university, University of Wales is a public entity. Okay. Maybe the last question now. Whoever wants to ask. Last question, anybody? So all questions answered. I'm glad. Okay, thank you all very much. I think we'll take 5 minutes break for you to go and ease yourself. After that, we come back with Prof. Mansoor Fadil on his Open University. Thank you very much.